This is the second pattern in this series, and we'll be using it to extend our effective practice toolbox. After you finish this lesson, you can go back to pattern number 1 and apply these ideas to increase your speed even more. The way we will approach this second lesson is to briefly review what we talked about in every section of our 5-step strategy and then add something new in each of them. We'll be working on the same A minor 3 notes per string pentatonic fingering, just with a new repeating pattern. This lesson's pattern is 8 notes long, or you can see it as 2 parts of 4 notes each. Look at the notation or the tab and play it with me on SF1. Repeat this on every string fragment at comfortable speeds until you begin to feel that you're used to the motions. During this warm-up, I want to draw your attention to a very common mistake that costs guitar players in speed and accuracy. Do not move your left hand too much. If possibly, stay still and move only the fingers. Now, if you have small hands, it's alright to move a little bit, but the point is you need to stretch. The muscles that control lateral motion need to be strengthened, and then you'll see benefits even when you're not stretching. That's not gonna happen if you keep doing this. You need to limit your left hand movement as much as possible. Here is how to play this second pattern using hammer-ons and pull-offs. You start again by picking the top note and pulling off to the bottom note of the string fragment. Then you add 2 ascending hammer-ons. This is half of the pattern. The other half is like a mirror image of this. You pull off to the bottom note to begin and hammer on to the top. And then you finish with 2 pull-offs. It's a long one, so it's also a great workout for the left hand. The second step is to work on left hand rhythmic stability, so use the MTC play-along trainer or a metronome and play mostly at slow to medium speeds. Here's an important point for this section. Take breaks. To protect your left hand from injury, you need to be sensitive to what your muscles are telling you. A little bit of soreness is normal, that's how you'll get stronger, but make sure you don't overdo it. If you start feeling pain, take a couple of minutes off. If it persists, take a bigger break or take the day off. Playing this pattern legato is very demanding, so give your hands some time to develop and get stronger. On the other hand, you need to make sure that you keep the exercise challenging, so if your fingers are strong enough to handle more stress, use a tougher guitar to practice this on. What I do sometimes is use a cheap acoustic. After this, when you return to a well set up guitar, you'll feel extremely comfortable. Okay, we already talked about the value of isolating the right hand, and we're using alternate picking for this pattern as well. If you start every new string with a downstroke, every string change will be on a downstroke as well, because of the even number of notes. Down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Which brings us to an extremely important point: peak slanting. If you never heard of peak slanting before, just let me tell you that this technique is amazing and that it has revolutionized my own playing in terms of speed and clarity. I first heard the term peak slanting used by the great teacher Troy Grady. I have posted links to some of his videos that explain this concept in great detail. Now, peak slanting is a deep technical subject, but let me just tell you what you need to know for the purposes of this pattern. Slant the back side of the pick down a little bit, like this. Of course, I'm exaggerating the motion now just to make it clear, but do slant it this way. Now, don't confuse this with edge picking, which is turning the pick this way. We'll talk about that in the next lesson. When you use downward pick slanting, the alternate motion makes the pick rest on the next string when playing a downstroke. And then move out of the plane of the strings on upstrokes. Down, up, down, up. This means that when playing even number patterns, such as the two we learned in this course, the pick is always in the air when you're crossing strings, making it very easy to cross and getting rid of the string hopping usually associated with alternate picking. Spend a little time with this because it can be awkward in the beginning, but when you get the hang of it, crossing strings will almost be as easy as playing a single string. There is a lot more to this, so if you want to get deeper into right hand technique, you can check out Troy's material. It's really amazing and presented in a very entertaining way. Last time we mentioned chunking and how this helps with coordination. Use the same trick again by accenting the first note of every repetition of our patterns. At slow speed, if 8 notes seem to be too many, you can split the pattern in half and accent every 4 notes. Troy talks about this concept as well in the video below, so make sure you watch the whole thing. We'll talk about another related concept though right now, something that I call isolated chunks. This is basically practicing just one repetition of the pattern up to the first note of the next one. This helps you isolate problem areas and zoom in on specific challenges that don't seem to go away with normal practice. Here's an example to see what I mean. In classical guitar training, these are sometimes called speed bursts. They help you establish the chunks in your mind so that you can later put them together and play the whole thing smoothly and with perfect coordination. Until you're ready to effortlessly embed these patterns into your playing, you need to first practice them in all possible directions. And then you need to experiment with playing them with different rhythmic values. The third tip I'm going to give you is to add tag endings to turn this into musical phrases. In other words, play a few repetitions of the pattern and then add an improvised ending to make it sound more musical. Let me play a few examples. This may feel unnatural in the beginning, but keep at it and it will come out. It's a big step toward making these patterns a truly intuitive part of your vocabulary. Okay, this is it for now. Take your time with this and don't rush to go through the whole course at once. I still practice these things or variations of them because these are the kinds of exercises that keep you developing for a long time. So be patient. When you do feel that you're ready, I'll see you in lesson 3.